Ayan! Ayan na talaga! Wala na, tapos na guys. Wala na, tapos na ang 6 years ng dating presidente. Yan. Rodrigo Roa Duterte, hindi na tayo ngayon PRRD, PBBM na tayo guys. Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Do you feel change in the air? Ayan na. End of an era na kaninang umaga at around 10:50 a.m. ganon. Umalis na si tatay, may 21 guns sa lot. Or ano na. Tapos ayan na, baka nakauwi na si tatay ngayon, nasa Davao na si tatay at may bago tayong presidente, bumaba from Mercedes-Benz, umakyat doon sa Malacanang, chicha, tapos naka-silver pants, tapos yung body language ni PBBM, napaka-relax lang siya, nakaupo, one hand like this, tapos nag-uusap sila ni Tatay Digong. Wait lang, may delivery yata. 1 second lang balikan kayo. Yes po, ano po yan? Yes po. Pakuha na lang Andun naman yung bayad ko, diba? Akit na lang, mamaya, mga 30 minutes. Sige po, may ginagawa pa ako eh. Salamat, God bless. No problem. Ayan na, may delivery na. Shopee tayo eh. Ayan, nag-Shopee tayo in celebration of new era, new president, new times. Yes, guys. So yun, guys. Yun talaga, guys. Siyempre, new president tayo ngayon. Kaya, new style, new schedule, dignified, medyo relax, medyo pa-English tayo ng konti. Di ba yung bagong presidente natin, English era pa, napakaganda pa ng prose niya. Di ba? Tuloy ang dami nagtanong, sino nagsulat ng speech niya. But anyway, guys, ito yung nangyari. So, officially this morning, at before 11 a.m., President Duterte, ito na talaga, guys. This is it. RRD, ex-President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, officially left the premises of Malacanang for the last time as the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief, at na-pass down sa new President. Meron tayong bagong Presidente. Sino Presidente? Yan. Andrew E. Worldwide. Buyaka siya. Yan. So, guys, meron palang party ngayon si Andrew. May pasasalamat party ngayon si Andrew. Meron akong selfie with ni Andrew. Yan, may popost ko sa inyo, guys. Sino Presidente? PBBM. Yan, talagang, guys ito na talaga, bagong buhay na tayo. Talagang naligo tayo, fresh. Talagang eto na, this is it. 4 a.m. pa lang, gising na ako. Konting tulog, trabaho, sulat, Go, CNN, One News, TV5, Daldal, Marites. Ayan, dami tuloy natin. Pinag-usapan. I had the pleasure of seeing this transition in power. But ito guys, to be serious, this is the beauty of democracy, guys. Yung peaceful transition of power. Diba? Kasi guys, ito yung wala talaga. Ito yung wala talaga sa mga dictatorship at saka mga autocracies. Tignan mo ngayon sa Russia, hindi na alam ng tao, ano mangyayari kung wala na si Putin, di ba? I mean, no one knows what's gonna come next. Kung nanood kayo ng movie na The Death of Stalin, panoorin nyo guys. You will see how horrific is the transition and power situation pag hindi ka democratic country, right? So at the end of the day, you can say everything about President Duterte, but in fairness, he respected his 6-year term office limit and he peacefully stepped down in favor of the next president, our new president, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., otherwise known as BBM, and now hashtag PBBM. Yan po. So this transition in power, this very peaceful transition in power, guys, hindi lang peaceful but chummy chums, diba? So ito, naka-Benz, umakyat sakay sa Benz, bumaba sa Benz, umakyat sa Malacanang, tapos usap-usap, 10 minutes, pro forma, nakaganon pa yung kamay ni PBM. Napansin nyo? Kasi ako napapansin ko lahat yan eh. yung body language, yung ease, yung relaxation, andito si Bongo, andun si Vic Rodriguez, so andun yung mga so-called little presidents, ito yung mga parang chief of staff / conciliary, whatever you wanna say. So, ganon, usap-usap, si Tatay Digong nakamask, usap-usap, si PBM, walang mask, ganda ng hair, ganda ng gawa ng hair, ganon, tapos nakopo, tapos usap-usap, smile, ito, tapos chit-chat, and then bumaba sila doon, they went down. Kasi guys, itong rituals na to hindi ito marites lang. This is an expression of our democracy. Hindi tayo magandang demokrasya, let's just put it that way. Marami tayong problema. Okay, corruption, vote buying, disinformation. Pero yung kagandaan po talaga ng demokrasya, ito yung peaceful transition of power. Hindi lang peaceful, chummy transition of power. In fact, ito na nga guys, ito. For the first time in decades, meron tayong presidente na kasama dun sa coalition ng outgoing president. Kumbaga, pro-incumbent president. Kasi karamihan na naging presidente natin guys ay yung mga presidente na opposition dati. So, sila yung anti-incumbent candidates na nanalo. So, Duterte versus Aquino. Aquino versus Arroyo. Arroyo versus Erap, you know? Even Erap, with Ramos, they didn't have a very good relationship as VP and president. Ramos, you can argue that he was really the last pro-incumbent president, although Ramos was not the first choice. Si Mitra, ang first choice yata ni Coria last time I checked. So, you know, in that sense, hindi lang peaceful transition of power, chummy transition of power, chummy chums. Now, although President Duterte did not bother to attend the inauguration, umuwi na lang siya sa Davao. But other president, ERAP, FVR, andun sila, di ba? Nag-attend sila dun sa inauguration ng new president, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. Ayan, so for me guys, ito talaga mahalaga yun. As I said, panoorin nyo tong movie na to kasi doon nyo ma-realize anong pangit sa dictatorship because you don't know who's gonna come next. In fact, that was exactly our problem during the Marcos dictatorship because may faction na nag-aaway on who will succeed him nung hindi na feeling well. Di ba, alam yung nagkasakit si Marcos, di ba? So, meron kang faction nila Enrile na versus faction nila Imelda and Ver, and then eventually yung faction nila Enrile, of course, nag-coup sila. Di ba? Kaya nga nagkaroon ng EDSA, di ba? Kasi nag-coup yung isang faction. The good thing in democracy is you don't have those situations. You have a peaceful transition of power. As I said, we are not a perfect democracy, but at least President Duterte at least respected, guys, the peaceful transition of power. Ito yung movie na sinasabi, guys, The Death of Stalin. Panorin yan. Dark comedy yan. Pero pinapakita dito, napakahirap pag hindi ka democracy. Kasi hindi clear sinong mga maging next na leader. Ito na nga, napatay na nga si Stalin dito. Pero takot sila hawakan si Stalin kasi baka naman, hindi pala patay, pag hinawakan mo, nagising, tas ikaw unang nakita niya, sa tingin niya, ikaw nagkukusa ka niya, or may balak kang masama, mamamatay ka, papatayin ka, ma-execute ka, di ba? Panoorin niyo yan, Death of Stalin. Talagang doon niyo maintindihan. Ang isa sa pinakamalaking problema sa isang dictatorship or non-democracy is transition of power. Peaceful transition of power, to be specific about it. Kaya ngayon sa China, inisip nila who will be after Xi Jinping kasi wala pa siyang ginugroom na successor sa kanya. For a long time, China was led by what you call collective leadership or consociational leadership. This is what Deng Xiaoping introduced in light of the horrors of the Maoist dictatorship. But now, under Xi Jinping, things are changing a little bit. No, under Putin, we also don't know what's going to happen after Putin. Who are going to be potential successors? If you know better than me, please tell me. Because Medvedev is now out of the picture. A number of other people we thought could be there out of the picture. Wala naman son si Putin. Wala rin son si Xi Jinping. So, we don't know what's going to happen there. Diba? And I can go on and on. Yung first book ko actually was about the Arab uprisings and also yung revolutions because the issue also there was who will come after Hosni Mubarak, etc., etc. Okay, so I hope you guys appreciate what happened today because even if you don't like the new president, even if you don't like the previous president, talagang ex-president na si Duterte, you have to celebrate the fact that we had a peaceful transition of power. Kasi kung hindi nagkaroon ng peaceful transition, napakagulo yan. Okay, so doon tayo. Now, Grabe naman yung inauguration. Napagod ako bigla. Grabe naman yung inauguration, no? Talagang, ito. Let's put things into historical context, guys. So, ano pong nangyari dito? The last time na may isang presidente nang nagpa-inaugurate diyan sa dating legislative house, legislative building na ngayon ay National Museum natin, I see President Rojas, Manuel Rojas, and before him, I think Laurel, right? And then Manuel Quezon, right? So he's the fourth president dito sa kasaysayan natin na nagpa-inaugurate dito because yung iba sa Quirino stand na sila. So in a way, it is very, very meaningful and interesting. And ito guys, may babasahin ako sa inyo. Kinuha ko ito dito sa article ng kaibigan ko kaibigan natin sa Inquirer ito yung speech ni Manuel Rojas nung naging presidente siya, no? Basahin natin kasi guys, meron ano yan everything has a reason, no? Yung choice na ilalagay doon sa dating legislative building dito sa National Museum at hindi doon sa Quirino stand, there is a symbolism to it, right? And then at the same time, there's also some optics to it, right? Now, let me discuss the symbolism because the last time we had a president who was inaugurated there, we were transitioning from a very difficult period, meaning Second World War, nung wasak na wasak yung Pilipinas, yung Manila was among the 3 most devastated cities. Yung Amerikano to kick out the Japanese, they dropped tens of thousands of artillery shells. Kawawa tayo. So Hilmar Rojas is taking over as the last president of Commonwealth, meaning under American colonization, and as the first president of quote-unquote independent Philippine Republic, no? So ito yung speech niya. Ito yung speech ni Manuel Rojas when he was the last president. And listen it because you'll see what I'm saying here because you can see the parallels and also the historical significance of this, no? Ito. So Philippines was coming out of the ashes of war. So ang hiningi ni Manuel Quezon is he opened his speech by asking, so I'm quoting from our good friend also Ambeth Ocampo, "From the nation I seek the full and undivided support of heart, mind, and energy for the necessary tasks which await us." And then he pushed for encouragement of production for consumption and the increase in the purchasing power of the masses because these are parallel paths which we must travel. Para sa kanya, a nation is something more than the people who inhabit a geographic area. It is a spirit, a tradition, and a way of life. Everybody, that money is being siphoned from our land by more and more imports, not productive imports, but imports of consumption. The well-being of the tradesman alone is not the well-being of our people. Disaster awaits us tomorrow if we do not rouse ourselves and get back to work, to productive work. And so on and so on. So it was a very emotionally resonant and a call for support from the whole nation and the idea that we have to stick together para umalis dito sa crisis natin. So this was the last time we had a president who gave an inauguration speech diyan kung saan nagpa-inaugurate ngayon araw si bagong Pangulong natin, Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So the last time we had the president there, the president gave an emotional speech, right? Calling for people. It was a clarion call for full support of the people. It was a call for unity. It was a call for decisive leadership and decisive reforms so that yung Pilipinas ay hindi depende sa imports, so that we're more self-reliant economically, so that we can deal with poverty, we can deal with unemployment. Now, do you see the parallel? Don't you see the parallel, right? Today, President Marcos took over after years of economic hardship in our country, right? Yes, nakakaraos naman tayo kahit papano, pero we had 5 quarters of recession from 2020 to 2021. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa tayo nag-fully recover sa pandemya. Yung healthcare sector po natin ay bugbog dito sa pandemya. Daming mismanagement ang nangyayari. Yes, pro-incumbent candidate si Marcos, but he also pointed out that there have been some mismanagements and certain lapses, no? When it comes to responding to the pandemic, when it comes to handling different crises. So, hindi niya openly na-criticize si Pangulong Duterte. He was may finesse siya. but at the same time, recognize that may mga kailangan tayong ayusin. So if you look at it, President Marcos, he did not only come out and say, I'm your latest president. He said that I'm your latest president in extraordinary times. This is a time that we have to have recovery. We have to get out of this economic crisis. And we have to also face head-on the new economic crisis. Etong grabe yung presyo, guys. Grabe itong presyo ng gasolina, ng diesel, etong presyo ng pagkain and all. Ay nako guys, kaya nga ngayon, pag may nagtanong sa inyo, bakit wala ka pang jowa? Bakit wala ka pang asawa? Ang sagot mo guys, itong sagot nyo, hindi magandang infrastruktura natin. Mataas pong presyo ng gasolina at diesel. Mataas pong inflation. Meron pa tayong potential global stagflation. Hindi po magandang internet bandwidth natin. Yan ang explain nyo guys. Yan ang pangsagot nyo. Pag may nagsabi, bakit single ka pa, di ba? Ito yung nakuha ko dito sa mahirap po mag-loan sa bank, mataas pong interest rate, mataas ang inflation, yan ang sagot mo guys. Bakit wala ka pang jowa? Ayan. So, kumbaga, ito yung emphasis talaga. So, first of all, I'm explaining to you bakit siguro yun yung naging choice. I'm sure they have their explanation, pero para sa akin, ito yung choice. So, for me, it has to do with the zeitgeist. You know what's zeitgeist, right? Zeitgeist. Zeit times, Geist means spirit. So spirit of the times. This is German, right? So the zeitgeist is not exactly the same, but similar. So in 1946 and 7, we were transitioning out of Second World War and Commonwealth to independence, self-reliance, and recovery from the devastation of Second World War. Ngayon naman, we're transitioning out of the pandemic, 5 quarters of recession early on, and then now meron kang food and energy crisis and potentially global stagflation. Gets nyo ba? Gets yung ginagawa ko dito? In-explain ko sa inyo guys yung parallelism in terms of the extraordinariness of the moment. And why siguro na-choose itong area, hindi yung Quirino Grandstand, no? The second thing is, I think there's also the element of nostalgia. As I said, as I explained, President Duterte ex-President Duterte, former President Duterte, hindi na ako sanay. Former President Duterte was a master of performative populism. Napakahusay ni Pangulong Duterte. In-explain ko rin kahapon sa inyo, di ba, ano yung performative populism? You know, you communicate your emotions, you make yourself relatable, and then, you know, even if hindi ka masyadong successful, you make it look as if you tried your best, or maybe talaga you tried your best at hindi nakayanan. So, you have this kind of emotional bond to the people, and then you have a very effective perception management around that. Alam na natin yan. Gets yun na yan, performative populism. Pagdating naman kay Marcos Jr., ang basa ko dito, nostalgic populism. Talagang strength niya. And the nostalgia, guys, is there. The music of his campaign, yung hairstyle, the way he talks na balaktasan, yung prose niya, both English and Tagalog. And then ito guys, di ba, yung he always harkens back to the past, yung panahon ng golden era natin, supposedly, when lahat may pagkain, may Nutriban Republic, may ganito, may ganyan. Ewan ko na, hindi naman talano. Pero, gets yun na. And then, eto, dito rin nakikita natin, di ba guys, parang ang classic tignan, ang ganda nung, di ba, yung National Museum, yung dating legislative building, nandun sa likod. Yung tatay niya also served there once upon a time, di ba? As a legislator, di ba? Andun na lahat. The whole thing just screams nostalgia and glamour and glitz. And remember, 50s and 60s, up to 50s and 60s, tayong parang Perla del Oriente. We were the Paris of the East, di ba? You know, there was that kind of a beauty and glamour to Manila back in the day. So you can juxtapose yung pictures of Philippines in the 50s and 60s, those roaring decades. And then now Marcos is back. So syempre in your mind, you kind of connect it. It's like, oh, so we were glorious in those era, and then now Marcos Jr. is there. Oh, so we can be glorious again. Do you get what I'm saying here? You see, the nostalgia and the optics has a political significance. Napakamahalaga yan. Hoy, Lowell! Balikan kita. Alam ko, troll ka, pero balikan kita. Umayos ka. Yan, okay. So, yun, in-explain ko. So, there's an element of nostalgic populism there. So, in short, everything is calculated. And calculated doesn't mean bad. Calculated means pinag-isipan, may preparation, inayos. Tapos the other thing mapapansin natin dito sa inauguration, guys, is parang daming mga military, di ba? Grabe, no? Sabi nung isa, North Korea style, hindi naman. Pero grabe, ang daming mga camouflage, special forces, tapos may aeroplano. Hindi ko alam mga aeroplano ay, parang luma yung mga aeroplano, no? Tapos parang Paris Liberation Day style, di ba? Tapos may mga kulay ng white, blue, red, parang flag ng France, Philippine flag rin pala. So, alam mo yung parang walang dilaw. Dapat may dilaw din, di ba? Parang 4 colors, di ba? Yung dilaw, pula, di ba? Then blue, then white, di ba? Anyway, tapos may ganon, di ba? So, parang strength, show of strength. Andiyan very clear, nakita niyo all the soldiers working, the armored vehicles. May tanks na ba tayo? Parang hindi pa eh. Basta all of those armored vehicles na dumaan. And then, eto, frontliners. Pansin nyo, nung dumating ang frontliners, tumayo si Bongbong Marcos at pumalakbak siya. Showing support na I am with you, frontlines, etc. Ngayon, meron ba siyang na-appoint na DOH secretary? Meron na ba? Okay, so clearly you have President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. showing his support. He's there 100% for our healthcare sector, for our frontliners. So, see, may touch talaga eh. May touch talaga eh. So, and then now, of course, we go to the speech, right? And then, of course, ito pa, guys, yung dignitaries, very interesting. So, meron kang Governor General ng Australia. Ito yung parang de facto representative of the Queen in Australia. Remember, Australia is not a republic. So, in a way, parang they still fall within the realm of the Queen of England, right? At yung Governor General is kind of like the representative. So, like, that's the highest level of representation, right, from Australia. In some way, you can say that. So, very high level. And then, meron kang Wang Qishan, who is the right man of President Xi Jinping of China and the Vice President of China, also technically speaking. So, but in Vice President China is not a very high position. But Wang Qishan is a very influential figure. He's like really the right hand of President Xi Jinping. So, very important yan. And then, of course, meron kang ang tawag dyan, first gentleman, like parang, basta yung asawa ng vice-presidente ng Amerika, yung asawa ni Kamala Harris nandun rin, and then andun rin ang foreign minister ng Japan, right? A very important ally of us. So medyo high-level representation din yan, no? Yung foreign minister ng Japan nandun. So if you look at the dignitaries, quite high-level, bigatin yung mga nandun, though. So there's this kind of international recognition level, and key powers, Japan, US, Australia, China, all of them sending very high-level dignitaries, no? That matters. That's important, guys. So that says something about it. Now, let's go to the speech, because the speech is quite interesting, right? So, first of all, napansin nyo dito sa speech. The president, our new president, has used, first of all, etong pansin ko, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is very linguistically dexterous. Let's just put that way. Alam ko yung mga Alamano, yung mga ganun, mga kantsawan sa kanya and all. But he actually transitions between Filipino and English quite well. Mahusay talaga yung Filipino niya. Yung mga balaktasan style speech na yung Filipino. Very nostalgic. And for a lot of people, it appeals to them. Naalala ko, there was a time na paras kami nag-speech sa isang university, back-to-back kami. Very respectful siya pumunta sa akin, nag-shake hands, etc. I told him ang Ilocano, and tumingin siya sa akin parang masyado kang maputi para mag-ilo. Anyway, I don't remember what exactly he said, pero parang nagbiruan lang kami ng konti. And then, what happened there? Saan na tayo? And then, doon nakita ko, yung nag-speech siya na parang Filipino, tapos balaktasan style. Tapos yung mga kabataan nakaganon lang, nakita ko. At napansin ko may power talaga yung ganyan speech eh. Yung parang may sariling dating eh. And of course, it's very different from Tatay style speech, di ba? Yung speech ni Tatay parang, let's go to, ayoko to. Alam mo, ganito kasi, ganon si Tatay, di ba? Yung mga sona niya, nagka-commentary na siya eh. Daming ad-libs, di ba? Pero ito, iba talaga. Initially, actually, we were told sa media na hindi mag-ano siya, extemporaneous na. Pero eventually, parang nag-teleprompter na lang siya. But anyway, if you look at the speech, it's primarily English. So, makikita mo talaga dito is that Marcos is trying to talk to the international community. No? He's trying to send a message to the international community, especially in the West, kung saan medyo may reputation ng mga Marcoses, to put it mildly, no? Na this is a Marcos, but it's going to be a different Marcos in the sense that do not judge us only by our past, but also look at what we're going to do now, right? Because alam niya, abroad, medyo hindi naman talano level na. Alam niya na, di ba? May court cases sa US, mga ganun, sa Swiss, mga ganun. Okay, so it was very clearly, he was sending this message to the world, especially the West, no? America, Australia, Europe, etc., Japan, etc., na, you know, Marcoses are back in force, but we also recognize that you may have some doubts about us, but we're going to prove you wrong. We're going to be effective, we're going to be competent, we're going to be charismatic, and ito nga this is very interesting. Doon sa opening paragraphs pa lang ng speech ni Bongbong Marcos, na-emphasize niya na he has the biggest electoral mandate in the history of the Philippines. Now, if you look at it, percentage-wise, actually, he doesn't have the biggest mandate because guess who got the biggest mandate in the past? I mean, at least, who got the majority vote before him, right? If you look, I mean, other president, but it was really, so if you look at it, Marcos Sr. in 1969, tinalo niya si Osmeña Jr., right? He got 61% of the votes. So, mas mataas yung share of votes ng tatay niya kaysa sa kanya in a competitive elections or relatively competitive elections. But nonetheless, if you look at the sheer numbers, 31 million ang bumoto. That's almost twice the number of Lenny and almost twice the number of Digong's votes, no? And it's almost as big as the population of the Philippines when Marcos, his father, was becoming the president of the republic. So he was very adamant to emphasize, no, right off the bat, no, na we have such a huge mandate. And then, 3 beses niya sinabi, ito guys, itong favorite natin, di ba? Pagkakaisa. Unity, unity, unity. 3 times niya na-emphasize yan, di ba? Early on pa lang. At na-clarify niya ito, at he made it very clear, no? I am ready for the task. That don't underestimate me. Kung anong mga impression nyo, stereotypes nyo sa akin, whatever, anong question nyo dun sa Oxford, Wharton, whatever, I'm ready for the task and I have the very big mandate. He very much emphasized that. And then ito, early on also, he zeroed in on yung issue ng pagkain, di ba? Yung basic security issues. Sorry. Before that, he also, ito hindi ko alam if he was trying to say na wag nyo na i-issue na hindi ako nag-attend dun sa debates na organized ng COMELEC at saka mga mainstream media outlets. But he kind of said, look at me. And then related ito dun sa pagkakaisa, di ba? Na, see, hindi ko pinatulan yung mga karibal ko. Hindi ako nag-engage sa paninira. Kahit kinikriticize ako, I try to stay above the fray. That was essentially his opening message, di ba? But, and this is where it gets interesting. He also says this, He says, talagang pinanood natin, He says na, wala naman akong disagreement dun sa mga broad policy agenda nila whether it's on infrastructure development, on macroeconomic stabilization, on foreign policy and independence, etc. Sabi niya, wala naman akong disagreement So I think indirectly was saying, ba't pa ako mag-debate, wala naman tayong disagreement sa policy. Ang mangyayari lang naman away dyan is paninira, parang gano'n, or attack sa family ko, or yung history namin, etc., etc. So, ganun ang approach niya. Again, I'm just analyzing. Bahala na kayo mag-judge. I'm not passing a judgment. I'm just analyzing what he was trying to do there dun sa speech niya, di ba? So, una pa lang, he projected himself as an above the fray, sorry, 4 a.m. pa ako gising, dami pa akong trabaho. He's projecting himself as a unifying figure, and then he's saying, I have the biggest electoral mandate, and then at the same time, he's saying, hindi ako nag-engage sa paninira. And then at the same time saying that don't worry, even if hindi nanalo ibang kandidato, yung mga kanilang key policies naman, i-adopt ko naman dahil nag-agree naman kami on key issues on poverty alleviation, employment generation, on agricultural development, on foreign policy independence, etc. So parang yun ang sinasabi niya dyan, di ba? And then he goes here and says, under my administration, there will not only be sufficiency, ibig sabihin sapat ng pagkain, mga basic na, yung mga basics na pangangailangan sa buhay, but there could also be, parang i-use the term, parang plenty, parang plentitude. Something like, parang plentitude ang ginamit, hindi abundance. So parang, wag kayo mag-alala, under me, I'll take charge, I'll make sure na we have sufficiency and all. And then, very interesting, in the first 5 to 10 minutes of his speech, it was like, what, 24 minutes of speech, if I'm not mistaken, right? So not too long, but probably short. Yeah, 24, yeah. So more or less within the range, right? Right? 24 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, or 30 minutes, something like that. Not yung Sona style ni tatay na 3 oras or whatever. Or meta natin, minsan na 2-3 oras. So, minsan mabiling ko, na-influence din ako ni tatay. Ang tagal ng meta ko, parang nagtatay sa, ang daming adlib, daming ganun, tuloy mga comments. Kailangan na mag-analyze. Second hour po, sabi kong ganun. Good vibes naman dyan, good vibes. Ito, balik tayo dito. Ayan, sabaw na ako, but I'm trying to still stick it together. So what he also did here was, he emphasized early on, in the first 5 minutes of speech, the word radical change. So, hindi lang real change, but radical change, meaning structural transformations, meaning something has to be done in terms of our economic development model. Something has to be done in terms of relationship between the state and the people. And then he went a bit into this area of history by saying, wag tayo tumingin sa nangyari sa dati, ang dapat titignan natin yung mangyaring bukas, diba? Yung dapat, like, let's not be obsessed over the past, polarizing issues about the past. Obviously, you know what he's referring to, but let's rather focus on the future and what I am gonna do. So in a sense, he was saying, instead of fighting over my father's legacy, focus on what I'm gonna deliver for this country because I want to do well for this country. So yun ang in-emphasize niya doon. So in a way, move on. Yung hashtag move on ang sinasabi niya. Then, also early on, in the first 5 to 10 minutes, there were references to foreign policy. He said, we want to seek friendship with all. Then, may paka-weird reference to Ukraine in a sense that I'm not sure what he was trying to imply. He was saying like, parang, if the great powers don't, parang, this is what he says, right? Parang, and then, pakonyo style. Ito yung, parang, ano bang ibang pwede kong gamitin na hindi parang? What is the other word for parang na hindi parang? Kasi yung parang sobrang, nakakainis na konyo style. Ano yung parang pero hindi parang? Ano yung parang? Okay, ito. Ito yung sinabi niya, if the great powers don't learn the right lessons from Ukraine, and then we'll be in big trouble. So we can have a similar conflict here in this part of the world. Okay. Okay. Actually, one way to interpret that is, it's a... Hindi. You can interpret it 2 ways, You can interpret it in one way na, tignan mo, Russia sumugot sa Ukraine thinking things will be easy and now they're bogged down and everyone is suffering. So China perhaps should not do the same thing on Taiwan. You see, one way you can interpret it is that way. But you can also interpret it another way, the Russian version of reality, which is because sinusul yung Ukraine, ganun kaya ang Russia nag-react. So parang the idea is, maybe you shouldn't push Taiwan too much towards independence so that China will not betray. Interesting, like the way he said it, at once was like, what? And then like, but you can interpret it in different ways. And there are many parts in his speeches whereby he says things that can be interpreted differently by different sides. So may pagka-safe siya. Right? And you can say, that shows a degree of finesse because addressing controversial issues in a way that doesn't necessarily alienate one side in favor of the other in itself is a form of diplomacy. So he touches on controversial issues, but he doesn't say it in a way whereby he really takes a side, right? So, very neutral, kumbaga, literal neutral yung coverage niya ng mga issues na yan. Even dun sa issue ng yung development ng oil and gas natin, di ba? Sabi niya, kailangan natin i-develop yung ating sariling energy resources dahil nga meron tayong energy crisis, bakit tayo umaasa sa ibang bansa. So, remember yung speech ni Manuel Rojas, yung in-explain niya, remember yung sinabi ko na yung issue with importation, masyado tayong depende sa importation, yun yung concern ni Rojas. Kaya sinasabi, Manuel Rojas, sorry, not Mars, Manuel Rojas, President Rojas, na sinabi niya, kaya kailangan natin to develop our own domestic manufacturing capacity, agricultural capacity. So, Marcos is essentially also saying the same in many ways, and he's also saying na hindi tayo dapat masyadong depende nagdidepende dito sa importation or oil and gas abroad. Bakit natin i-develop yung sarili natin? Now, bakit kamo mahalaga ito? Kasi last week Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, dito sa isang malaking speech sa Department of Foreign Affairs, Is he former na ba? Former foreign secretary or still acting foreign secretary? Teddy Boy Locsin, no? Said that wala na, tapos na yung mga usapan sa joint development agreement with China because ang magiging produkto niyan is quote-unquote constitutional crisis. Dahil kung mag-share resources tayo with China dito sa ilalim ng sa loob ng exclusive economic zone natin, this will violate dun sa national patrimony provision ng ating saligang batas. It will also violate the arbitration award which nullified China's expansive claims beyond its immediate exclusive economic zone from Hainan, right? Anyway, so again, you see, he says he wants to develop our energy resources unilaterally, but not openly pointing out at China and saying, sorry, we're not going to share it with you. But you can also interpret it that way. So if you look at it, he makes a lot of these very interesting statements on very controversial issues, but he steps short of just enough clarification that could end up alienating one side or the other. Kaya nga gusto ko malaman sino nagsulat ng speech na ito eh. Kasi, ganun talaga eh. Sobrang ganun eh. Talagang ninanavigate niya. Parang you're navigating a stormy water. May iceberg here, may iceberg dyan. Sobrang navigational. Talagang parang sailor talaga eh. Mahusay, calibrated. Napaka-calibrated. Which is so different from President Duterte, which is medyo may pagkabara-bara or eto, minura-mura yung Amerika, tapos China, love. Walang ganun eh. Talagang very... So, in a way, if I can put it, guys, traditionalist, nostalgist president si Marcos base dito sa first major address niya as the new president of the Republic. He's traditionalist because there's a script, there is a decorum, there's a dignity of the office, there's this whole pizzazz associated with the office of the presidency, right? And then there's this signaling to the international community, there's this talking to the nation, and then it's nostalgist, right? He's inaugurated in a place whereby for the past 50, 60 years, no Philippine president has been inaugurated in. The last one was President Manuel Rojas, right? And then you have this beautiful white building, new colonial, Greco-Roman design and all. So really projecting nostalgia. And then he's also very traditionalist, which makes him very, very different from President Duterte. Because President Duterte was anti-traditionalist. He was your consummate populist. He went against the decorum. He went against the normal, ways, the rituals, normal ways to give speeches. May ad-lib, overtime, late, whatever. Nasaan na siya, ganun. Saying... So in that sense, Marcos is going back to the older traditions of how the president should conduct himself or herself. And also he's very nostalgic because he's inaugurating himself in a place where, the last president who inaugurated himself there was Manuel Rojas, right? And then before that, Laurel and Manolo Quezon. Three presidents who also had very difficult times and they were present in very difficult moments in our country, right? So, interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, he also gave us, dito sa speech niya, he also gave us a preview of his SONA. Right? May SONA pa, guys, ha? Huwag niyo kalimutan, meron pang SONA. Because doon sa State of the Nation address, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Will give a blueprint and a clear idea, or hopefully a clearer idea, of how we're gonna address these complicated problems we're facing right now. West Philippine Sea disputes, the future of peace process in Mindanao, the food prices, potential stagflation, oil crisis, all of that sabay-sabay. Not to mention, I don't think he'll discuss much of my historical controversial issues or issues like Rappler, ABS-CBN. I don't think he wants to go there, at least not yet. I think now it's really about let's focus on economic recovery and getting our foreign relations on the right track. Because what happened over the past 10 years is that we went from very close to US to very anti-US. And then, so ang ginagawa ni Marcos dito is he's finding a new mean, right? He's finding a new equilibrium that is neither replication of the past nor a full rejection of President Duterte's administration. It's gonna find, kumbaga, to use the term from Hegel, my favorite philosopher, it's a negation of negation in favor of a new synthesis. Right? So parang yun ang nangyari. Parang dami akong sinabi, no? Daming hanash, daming kuda. Speech lang naman, di ba? Dami akong sinabi tuloy. Pero gets nyo ba? I just want you guys to appreciate the fact that I take this seriously. Na hindi lang ako nagiging maritas lang dyan. I really, ang tawag dyan, discourse analysis almost. Of course, I'm medyo pretentious naman to say I'm doing discourse analysis. But that's what I'm doing, guys. I'm not looking just anong forma niya, anong speech. I'm looking at within a historical context, within a political context, the subliminal messaging, the multifarious, multi-angular kind of political signaling. And then you look at the crowd, sino nasa crowd, who is he talking to, who are the audiences. Kasi hindi lang one audience, multiple audience ang kausap niya dito sa speech niya. At kaya if you look at the prose, the English prose, it's very global, statesman, classic, traditionalist way of presenting things, di ba? So yan, lahat ng yan nandun. O yan, dami ko nang sinabi, dami ko na magpahinga na nga ako. Meron pa akong interviews hanggang mamayang gabi magpahinga ako ng konti. Gusto ko sana kumain, pero di ako nag-exercise. Baka naman, I need to preserve kasi my figure. For my Ayan tayo. But guys, do you see what's going on here? I mean, we're wala na tayong, iba na yung presidente natin. This is what's going on here. So this is officially, guys, our first meta na hindi si Pangulong Duterte ang Pangulo natin. Alright? Yon. Okay? And yes, tama si Therese Noynoy in a sense that this was a clear, super neutral, super safe, very traditional, very nostalgic approach to statesmanship, right? There's no too much like, whoa, what's that? At the same time, walang, grabe naman, wow, hindi naman ganon. So walang wow, wala rin wow, walang ganon. Gets nyo? Sakto lang. Diba? Steady lang. Chill lang, right? Yun yung approach niya. Alright? Of course, there's more that I could say, but kaya nga gusto ko malaman sino nagsulat nito eh. Kasi talagang kept it within a framework eh. Like parang tangoing with contentious issues without taking a stance, right? To leave room for maneuver, right? Interesting. So guys, ito po ang first meta natin officially under a president that is not Rodrigo Duterte. In this case, it's Ferdinand Marcos. So the question is this a new era? Or tapos na ba? End of an era ba nangyari this morning for President Duterte? Are we entering a new era? Or is this maybe not a new era? More of a continuation of the same but with a different tone. Is this going to be a change in tactics? Or is this going to be a change in political strategy? Is this a change in tone, or is this just a preview of a potential change in the political order altogether? Let's see. Very interesting. Is this a reversion to the mean? Is this a return to traditionalism? Or this is actually traditionalist on the surface, but potentially radical and transformational in substance and policy. And when I say transformational, it's not necessarily always positive. It could be also negative depending on what we transform into in the coming months and years. Boom! Buya ka siya! Ayan na, may bago na tayo presidente. Thank you very much sa mga supporters natin. Thank you sa mga mites natin from Australia, New Zealand. Ayan, araw pa, nag-Meta 1 tayo. Kamusta naman kayo dyan? Thank you sa mga kaibigan natin dyan from Gitnang Silangan, from Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, from Qatar. Ayun mga Qatar, from Turkey, from all of the countries in Gitnang Silangan, from California, from Quezon City, from Palawan, from Mindanao, from Visayas, from Bicol, Yuan, from New York, from East Coast and West Coast and Toronto and Vancouver and Alberta. Yan. Thank you sa inyo lahat, guys. Thank you sa mga nagbigay ng support at nakinig sa atin. Aba, nanonood kayo ah. Wala ba kayo dyan? Bakit? Bakasyon ba kayo dyan? Hindi daw, bagay daw yung parang sa atin. You know? Thank you kay Eunice Pabalcon. Tama? Thank you kay Cristel Enriquez. Ayan, daddy, nalagay natin na glasses. Thank you kay Cristel Enriquez. Thank you kay Vanessa Villanueva. Salamat po for your support. Inaki Matic. Sorry, I'm pronouncing it like Croatian, yung C. Thank you very much for that. Ayan, yung troll, hindi thank you sa'yo. Balikan kita mamaya. Thank you kay Janus Fernando. Thank you kay Rovelin. Kanina ko pa ginagamit tong cellphone na to eh. Thank you kay Bing Pascadera. Thank you kay Jocelyn Tombaga. Thank you kay Untayaw Jen, thank you kay Andrew E. Ayan. Hindi, wala si Andrew E. Si Andrew yung Andrew E. Worldwide, meron daw siyang concert na pasasalamat ngayon. Tapos ang laki ng shades niya. Talo pa ako ni Andrew, ah. Ito yung shades ko, ah. Ito yung square shades. Ganun. Ito yung shades ko, di ba? Yung kay Andrew E. ganyan kalaki, oh. Yung hanggang dito. Yan. So, sige na nga, mag-Andrew E. style tayo. Sino presidente? PBBM. Sino vice-presidente? Inda. Yan. Okay, thank you, kay. Thank you, kay Jocelyn Lumberio. Yan. Supporter natin yan. Mga friendships natin dyan. Sabi ni JR Lopez, your energy is crazy. Ang tawag dito, 4 a.m. energy. Mamaya, ganyan na. Ganyan na, ganyan na. Wala na, knockout na yan mamaya. Alam mo yung Cobra, yung energy drink yan. Mga ganon. Yung ang taas-taas na, ganon ka na. Huwag ka naman ganon. Thank you kay Roldan Castro. Thank you kay Niermi Ijao. Thank you kay Claudette Paloma. Thank you kay Riz Ani. Thank you kay... Ay, maraming ano. Maves! Hindi, mabait ako ngayon. May new president tayo. Kaya unity tayo, guys. Unity lang. Okay? Huwag tayo mag-away. Huwag tayo mag-troll. Maves, Yuguan. Thank you kay Rain RVS. Is it Ravs? Ravs, yeah. Thank you kay Toto Jens. Thank you kay Arfiel Tordelia. Anong sinasabi na to ni? Ayan, si Portia Piscoveles, medyo worried siya for our country. Yung ibang mag-migrate daw sila. Alam mo, ito let me say this Everyone has a right to migrate if they want, okay? It's your choice in life. But if you're just gonna migrate every time the election doesn't go your way, so is gonna be the country. I mean, imagine if people said that in Germany after Second World War. Ay, ako nandito sa Germany, mga American na ako. Or yung people in Japan said, ay, sira ng ayoko mag-ano na ako. Mag-America na lang ako. You know, wala na. They would have never recovered. Or remember, imagine if in Korea, you know, people didn't fight for democracy and then they just back out everyone every time, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I understand frustration of people. I understand there's always supposedly greener pastures abroad, etc. But I don't know. I mean, good change comes with political struggle, long-time political struggle. If all of us are just gonna get out every time we don't feel happy with an election outcome, then ano mangyayari sa ating bansa? Again, let me be very clear. You have all the right. You're entitled to all the right to move wherever you want. We are a globalized world. But wag naman tipong na andito lang tayo sa Pilipinas pag gusto lang natin yung presidente. Right? Do you think I was super happy with our state of politics over the past 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years? Do you think I couldn't have gone abroad? Diba? Anyways, balikan natin. Wala lang, ad-lib lang. Hindi kasi, I guess ko, naiintindihan ko yung frustration ng people, pero mas believe pa ako sa mga tao who are sticking to the situation even if, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. At makinig kayo ng meta, baka naman. Rasfer Fantonaigo, thank you very much for support po. Thank you kay Arfiel Tordelia. Kanina ko pa na thank you. So, naka-double na rin ako sa'yo. Thank you kay Rachel Taoy, baka pwede na kayo mag-send ng Unity Stars. Thank you kay Che Rosal. At least si Che Rosal medyo open-minded. Sabi niya, let's see. Hindi lang completely, ay, walang pag-asa yan. Ganun. Let's see. As I said, diba? Ito, you know, minsan lang naman nanaling gusto mo But that doesn't mean na doon ka lang biglang magkaroon ng patriotism, diba? Hindi dapat conditional yan. Alright? Parang love yan Ay, wag na tayo pumunta sa topic na yan. Pero happy ako, kagabi ginawa na natin yung Duterte legacy. Kasi pag di natin ginawa, magigilty ako. Parang sa tapos ang ganda pa ng discussion natin kahapon, di ba? Seryoso tayo. Nakita niyo yung serious side ko. Hindi na tayo lang. Good vibes. Okay, Mary Melvig. Carses, Meta 1 daw tayo. Wala na Meta 2 mamaya. May trabaho na ako. Magpahinga muna ako konti. I need to write naman next. So, dito kasi, hindi naman... nauna yung analyst, and then vlogger, and then now writer. So I have to do everything. Okay. Wala Buti at least yung nagpahiram ng driver yung kaibigan natin. Otherwise, hindi ko na alam kung gagawin ko. Thank you kay Toto Jans. Oh, thank you pala. Thank you kay Eden Olonan. Ayan, si Eden Olonan, anong sinabi mo? Magandang araw para sa kapitag-pitagang looks. Ano po ibig sabihin ng kapitag-pitagang? Ano po yan? Paki-explain nga. Parang hindi ko gets eh. Paki talaga, no? Walang ya. Ano po yun? Hindi ko po alam yun. Alam mo yung isa kanina, walang ya yung isang kasama. Nag-post ako ng picture ako ng umaga. Tapos alam mong comment, wow, ito yung tipong may eye bags, tapos nilagay ng gwapo sa eye bags. Parang, hindi ko alam kung ma-insulto ako or hindi. Parang, di ba? Imagine mo, yung picture may parang eye bags, tapos nilagay ng kagwapuhan. Parang, I'm not sure that's a compliment. Okay, alright. Thank you, kay Pressy Cuevas. Thank you again pala. Thank you, kay Mitch Tengcho. Ayan. Si Mitch Tengcho sabi niya, ang aga. Sana all. Sana all daw. Sana all barong. Alam mo, may meaning ako sa inyo. Yung likot ng barong ko, may punit na. Kaya, yung interview, ganyan ako. Opo. Ganyan ako. Kasi may punit na dito sa likod eh. Kaya bang ayusin niya ng tailor? Di ba meron yung parang kuripot talaga. Meron bang, di ba, meron yung parang, ito naman, makanya. Ito, meron bang, yung parang invisible, dito Kasi, geto kasi guys, I do push-ups and all. Ang napansin ko, lumaki yung dito ko sa sides ko, yung parang, feeling, may V-shape na tayo ng konti, kaya lumaki yung dito ko. Okay pa naman dito, yung dito medyo lang. Kaya, pag ganun ko kanina, ayan tuloy. Kaya, kanina, pag may mag-shake hands, kamusta naman kayo dyan? Tapos yung shake hands mo, ganyan, kamusta ka dyan, pare? Ano yun? Kamusta ka dyan? Kasi dito may punit na dito sa likod. Mag-selfie tayo dyan. Selfie tayo. Ganyan, Ganyan tayo. Ganyan tayo mag-selfie. Kamusta naman dyan, pare? Kamusta kayo dyan? Yan, imagine mo, yan. Ayan na, si Che Rosal. Galit si Che Rosal, worried siya. Ayan. Thank you naman dyan kay Near Me, Ijaw, and tumatawa pala eh. Tumatawa ka lang pala. Okay, thank you rin. Thank you kay Patrice Tandog. Correct. Thank you kay Mary Mencito. Anong tawag na ulit? Ayan. Salamat si Jocelyn daw. Tuwan-tuwa sa Inauguration Classic. Diba nakakamiss din yung Classic na hindi bara-bara? Aminin nyo. Alam mo yung iba miss natin yung gusto ko yung midnight talks, gano'n eh. Pero guys, come on. This is the presidency. Sana naman, diba? Sana naman. Better boring and competent than exciting and secret. Ayan. Thank you kay Angelo Predigua. Ayan. Thank you kay Katrina Paladin Frias. Ayan. Si Katrina, mabait din yan. Supporter din natin yan. Loyal friends natin dyan. Si Angelito Pomer, ayan. Kowa na naman tinatanong. Mamaya natin pag-usapan yan. Inauguration lang tayo today, okay? Kaya nga tayo nakabarong pa rin, hindi natin tinanggal. Kasi may punit dito. Hindi ko alam paano tanggalin hindi lumala ito. Kasi baka mamaya mahal gawin, yan. Basta, ewan ko. Bili na lang ako nung parang dark version para kahit may punit. Pwede mong ganun, hindi makikita. Ito kasi light masyado. So, bahala kayo dyan. Thank you kay Eunice Babalcon. Yan talagang si Eunice. Generous today, Happy rin yata siya na may bago tayong president. Ito si Jocelyn Lumberry talaga. For your dignified and stunning look with your barong, you deserve this star. Thank you very much. Meron ako pang tailor dito sa punit sa likod. Ayan. Sakit sa biceps eh. Sakit sa biceps. Ano natin dyan. Alright. Thank you kay Tintin. Thank you kay for mga regulars natin. Kay Che Cruz. Saan si Cello? Ay, si Cello. Ayun, saan yan? Si Cello ba yan? Jello. Yan, si Jello. Si Braf Pitt. Yun, Action speaks louder. Yun ang hintayin natin. Pero guys, remember, even speech is a form of action eh. Kasi kung yung speech mo kalat, yung speech mo aggressive masyado, remember, how do you declare war? How do you create war? If your speech is crazy, right? You create crisis. So speech matters eh. Speech is a form of action din eh. But of course, there has to be follow-up. There has to be follow-through. You get what I'm saying? People underestimate kasi the power of the speech. If you have good speech, you can inspire people. You have bad speech, you hurt people, you instill fear. You have crazy speech, you create unnecessary enemies. Kaya di ba yung term na maging diplomatic tayo? Kasi kung hindi ka diplomatic, away-away ka, bungang ka, wala, purong kaaway yung bansa. Pero kung mahusay ka, diplomatic, unity, baka naman. Diba? Ayan. Thank you very much, John. Thank you rin kay Nikki Kata. Kate, sorry. Nikki, ayan. Sadi na. Nikki Kate, you know. Ito yung ibang expression ko, hindi ayan na. You know. Ito si Ito Rapadas, nagtanong, sinong guest nyo? Hindi ko alam. Basta yung director, Paul Soriano siguro, no? Yung overall, the whole choreography with Irene, etc. Yeah. Tapos si Tony G yung kumakanta, diba? Yung pa, hindi ko nasabi Tony G yung kumakanta. Ayan, sabi naman ni Ja, brilliantes masyado ng maga. Thank you kay Braf Pitt, Panalo yan si Braf Pitt sa akin. JV Lunas, thank you. Danny and Sisa. But guys, you get what's happening. You get what I'm saying here, okay? For a moment, put aside your, I don't know, anger or excitement. Just for a moment lang. Breathe in, breathe out. Ayan, para tayong guided meditation, alright? Guided meditation. 6 years of Duterte. 6 years of Tatay. 6 years of tapos na. And now, guided meditation. And now, let's feel the forces of change and tradition. And guided meditation 2022. Yan, ganon. Breathe in, breathe out. Ganon. Okay? Ganon. Natawa ako dun sa isang comment. Kasi, kasama namin kanina si Gretchen Barreto. Gretchen Barreto. Gretchen Ho. Ayan na naman ako. Gretchen Barreto. Gretchen Ho. Okay? Mamaya na yung mga... Gretchen Ho, yung kasama namin kanina, nag-analyze ng Tapos yung isang comment, deserve! Yung mga ganun. Ang tingin niya sa election, sa engagement, deserve! Kahit di ko binoto, deserve! Mga ganun, mga comments, deserve! Tapos yung iba, sana all! Tapos yung iba, Sarah all! Mga ganun. Kasi doon si Sarah sa likod, diba? Ayan, deserve! Ito na naman talaga tayo, Tito Boy Soto. Tapos Gretchen, Ayan na naman tayo, Wala, ganyan talaga. Wala na. Eunice, Sunny, Dianilagan, thank you very much for yung mga numbers na alala ko, like, from 4.1% to 2.7%. Pero yung mga Tito Boy Soto, Gretchen, yan, nagkakamali na tayo. Basta si Gretch. Si Renz Yugs, thank you. Rosal Lorenzo, thank you. Thank you kay Marie Mansita again. Thank you kay Divine Diaz. Thank you kay Che Cruz, Lani Enriquez. Yo no. Yeah, may mga friends tayo dyan. Shout out dyan sa friends natin. Maria Tatlong Hari from Santa Rosa City, Laguna. Sorry, Zadi na naman. Ang lit kasi ng font, guys, Siguro kailangan nila iPad, Pero wala naman tayong budget dyan. So maybe next time. Pwede pala sa iPad, no? Ayaw nga, Kasi ang lit masyado, Hindi ko makikita ng Hindi. I don't think si ma'am ang nagsulat. Hindi. Ano yung nagsulat? Hindi. Iba yung style nila, ma'am. Yung prose niya, classic pero iba pa rin. Yeah, I'm sure it's a team. It's not one person, multiple person. Ayan. Love naman daw kay Dayrol. Kanino? Sa akin or kay, PBBM? You know? Thank you kay Editha Cruz de los Santos. Yan. Si Jocelyn Lumberio, talagang mabait talaga si Mama. Generous today. Kay Dace Nunez, Yan. Josephine Suarez. Ayan na. Si Team Late. Naging half Team Live. Ayan. Ito palang term. Navigational speech ang tawag dyan. Sailor Moon. Sailor Style. Thank you rin kay Maria Esmeralda, Maribeth Nichols. Ayan, may tanong ba kayo dyan, guys, bago tayo mag-close ng session natin. Officially, our first meta, literally meta 1 under PBBM. Right. Kapon kasing last meta natin, meta finale under PRRD. And under first meta under PBBM. You know? Roldan, guys. Grabe yung energy, no? Matulog na ako. Inaano ko na lang yan, nilalabas ko na lang yan para matulog na ako ng konti, tapos trabaho na naman ulit mamaya. Magdamag na naman yan. Christian Palacio, kailangan ko pa mag-exercise kasi medyo hindi ko na na-follow today yung ating intermittent fasting style, 2 times a day only eating. Si Mark Lim, thank you very much. Kay Mimay Cam, thank you very much for your support. Thank you kay JC Sorenses, thank you kay Mimay Cam. Thank you kay Maria Esmeralda again, kay Dayrol. You know. Ito si Dayrol. You know, friends atin John joining us from Kuwait. Wassalamu alaikum to Alwin, to our friends joining us. Yan. Mayor yan si Eunice, Prof. You know? Mayor yan? Ay, sige po, hingi ba? Baka naman! Yorme! Yan tayo. Mayor pala yung ibang nanonood sa atin eh. Pwede pala eh. Ayan na. Ano tayo? Marites kayo, no? Chinichismisan nyo kahit yung mga iba dito. Kaya talaga walang yung mga marites. O, tingnan mo, bating, style ng eyeglasses ko. Very classic, traditional. Traditional. Si tatay, kumbaga si tatay digong TikTok. Yung nangyari today ay Friendster. Traditional na traditional. Yan. Thank you daw. Ayan. Oo. Ayan tayo. Thank you kay Heidi Tolentino. Gracie Torrena. Thank you very much po. Kay Elizar Lina. Kay Mitch Tengcho. Again. Uy, alam niyo yan Alam niyo, kilala niya ata may grupo ba kayo, may mafia ba kayo dyan na nagpa-follow sa akin? Ayan. Kagalang-galang. Yan. Katulad ng meta natin today. Medyo kagalang-galang. Yun ang ibig sabihin yung sinabi ng parang cute na okay, gets. Sorry, I had to reset the Ayan na si Jella. Hello. Unity. Pagkakaisa. DJ. Yan. Tanggap ko na talo palagi binoboto ko, sabi ni Check Cruz. Pero I never follow blindly. I'm an open-minded person, but in fairness, finally, a breath of fresh air na formal na ulit, nagsasalita, di nagmumura. Yun! Puya ka siya! Jella, ay bags na, tinubuan ng gwapo. Ayan, sa'yo para galing yan eh. Ito guys, basahin ko. Ito yung comment Walang kaya. Ito, ay bags na tinubuan ng gwapong mukha. Ayan tayo eh. Yan ang mga comments na hindi ko kaya. Ay, sabi ni Mitch. Ayan, Gretchen Ho. Hindi Gretchen Barreto. Sorry. Nagkamali ako. Ay, hindi ko man ma-stretch may butas dito. Yan. Si Jella. Thank you very much for your comments. Tinubuan ng gwapo yung eye bags. So, nauna yung eye bags. Tapos may lumabas ng mouth and cheeks and ayan tayo eh. Nakita niyo ba yung butas ko dito? Ay, hindi nakita. Kailangan natin eh. Kailangan mag-racket para maayos ko to. Di ba pwede ka ayusin sa tailor yan? Kasi guys, favorite ko to. Binili ko to hindi ko gift yata sa akin. Binili ng mami ko. Nung pa ako, high school pa yata or first year college, parang gano'n. So I kept it. Yun na, kahit Zadi na. Pero yun na, nabutasan dito. Kaya sorry hindi ko sinadya eh. Pag ganyan ko, wala na eh. Tsaka, malaki na yung sides ko dito eh. Medyo Batman style. Yan tayo para hindi makita yung butas. Kamusta kayo dyan? Hello there. Yeah, what's up, man? Yeah, selfie tayo dyan. Yan, ganun tayo. Yung mga gawain ng yan. The style yan. Ayun ang sabi ni Josephine for your barong pang patahe. O yan, sige. I-update ko kaya, send ko kaya ang picture. Si Lakay, may meron kami Taylor dito si Lakay. Ilocano issue na. Tapos, mayati presyo. Han nga nagina. Siguro mabalin nga uray nga 400 pesos. Mabalinan. Ay, sana kahit mabalin nga 200 pesos. Okay na yan. Ayan. Sorry, nagka-calculate na ako. Kasi ito guys may sentimental value kasi ito sa akin Hindi ako yung tipong, ay, makano yan, cash! Hindi ako ganon. Ay, may Ilocano din ako. But, you get what I'm saying? Like, sentimental value. Ito yung ginamit ko nung SONA ni Pangulong Duterte, unang SONA. Ito yung ginamit ko doon sa midterm elections. Ito yung ginamit ko doon sa, basta, marami akong gamit doon. Tapos, wait lang, kailan last time na pinaano ko to? Dry clean. Mahalang dry clean, 500 pesos. Yung pangtahi mo nga ng sira, 300, baka pwede na Sayang, diba? Ayan. So, sentimental values, I'll keep this, guys. Ayan. Kasi SONA, guys, soon, SONA soon. So, I need the barong. So, kailangan ko ayusin to. Thank you very much kay Letty. Hindi ako nagpaparinig, I'm just saying, I want to repair this because it has sentimental value to me. Kilala na mami ko yan, Tipong meron ako mga shoes. Sirang-sira na, pero ayoko itapon. Tapon mo yan, ayoko yun. Sabi ng mami ko, sige, lagay natin sa glass box para i-museum mo na lang yan. Para sentimental value tuloy. Ganun na lang daw, i-museum na lang. For Picasso na lang daw, sabi ni Mitch. Yan. Tama na yan kay Picasso, sa akin na lang. Hindi, cute na si Picasso, hindi niya na kailangan. Senior na siya. Alcel. Ako Zaddy lang, siya senior na. Kevin. Ayan, hindi, love na love ko yan. Mabait yan. Sobrang tahimik lang siya Compliment yun. Sabi ni Jello. Sabi ni Jocelyn Lumbera, you need another barong Zaddy. Gusto ko yung barong na guys, yung parang pang Gen Z. Yung mga new style na barong, parang Justin Bieber style. Or gusto ko yung mga barong na medyo dark mode, parang Batman style. Yan. Pag may sale. Sabihin niyo sa akin guys, kung may nakita kayong sale. Paki-message ako yung mga 30% at least, Feeling ko pag malapit sa pwede na tayo sale. Ayan, malapit na. Pero magandang barong sa atin. Aminin natin, no? Alam mo guys, ito, I'll just give you. So, nung college ako, debater kami. So, we used to go around, obvious ba, di ba? For UP Diliman, no? So, I was debating for UP Diliman. We used to do, debate around the world, especially Asia. And then there was a time we had an event sa University of Malaya, UM, sa Kuala Lumpur. And then yung cultural night, nagbarong ako. Tapos sila, Malaysian, Chinese, whatever, Thai, ganun. Tapos pumunta ako doon. And then sabi ng guy, sabi niya, this is interesting. Is this like Cubano? Sabi, are you Cuban? Or parang Latino akala niya. Sabi ko, no, this is Philippines. This is barong. He said, no, I saw something like that with Latinos. I thought you're Cubano or something like that. Doon ko nalaman na may influence talaga ito na mga Latinos, may version din ng gano'n. I thought kasi Pilipino talaga ito, di ba? Parang Chinese ang influence. I don't know, parang sabi niya may Cubano din I don't know where he got the idea. Pero he said, Cuban talaga yung sinabi niya. Or baka mukha lang akong Cuban, di ba? Kulang na lang may cigar, gano'n. Ayan. Ano sabi? Grabe, pinarat yung mananay. Diba? Pwede na 300. Sige na nga, lakay. Sige, mabalinan. Uray nga 500. Kasi Ilocano din ni Suna, kaya naintindihan niya ako. Binarat, grabe naman kayo. Hindi ganito, guys. Kasi syempre, yung nananahi, meron siyang kontrata doon sa shop. So, yung price na binibigay niya, may sharing shop. So, ang pwede mong gawin, ibaba mo yan, and then later on, bigay mo na lang tip separately. Di ba? Para straight na lang kay Manong. Although mabait yung yung tailor ko dito, minsan diretso na kay Manong, hindi na kung hindi gano'ng kamahal yung na lobat na talaga tayo. Malapit na mag-crash. You know what? Let's go until mag-crash yung battery ko. Let's go. Ayan. Thank you rin kay Dian Liasas. Hindi, wait lang Hindi, baka mag-off yan, hindi na ma-upload to. Wait lang Ayan na naman tayo Wait lang nasira yung forma ko. Ayan. Ayan na. Tanggalin ko lang ito ha. Ayan. Natatakot ako na baka maano to eh. Ma-shutdown to. Di ko na ma-upload itong... Ito, may butas. Hindi ko na makita. Baka lalaitin nyo na. Basta mayroon dito. Kaya naglakad ako ng ganun. Tapos, uy, andun si ano. Uy, andun si ano. Wow. Pwede pa picture kami dyan. Tapos, selfie mo na kaganon. Tagilid ng ganyan. Pwede tayo mag-picture dyan. Yan. Tapos, meron parating na ano. Parang angas din na lalaki ba? Pare! Basta kayo dyan, pare! Tapos, kahigpit ng ano. Pero kayo mo na makita yung ano dyan, butas dyan. Pero in fairness, no? It looks good. No, I like it. I like Barong. It brings out the... Kaya kaya yung magic pa. Alam mo dati nangyari sa akin? Kasama ko isang, legislator. Hindi ko na sasabihin sino. Tagal na yung 10 years ago. Tapos itong bagong suit ko. Ito pagbaba ko ng kotse, kunyari, nandito yung legislator, nauna ako, pagbaba ko ng kotse, yung mga sa batasan, ako yung Congressman, gano'n, sir, ganito po, staff lang po ako, hindi, advisor lang po ako, akala nila ako yung congressman. Labas ko, naka-shades akong gano'n, bawa ako, shades akong gano'n. Tapos yung mga sir, mga gano'n, sir, congressman, or senator, dito po kayo, gano'n. Tapos, wow, sarap pala ng ay, hindi, sorry, hindi po ako yung siya po yung ay, hindi po ako siya po yung ayan tayo eh. Ayan na naman tayo, laglagan na. Ayan na. Basta! Hi! Alam niyo na, tonight we have a new president. Okay, that's it. Pansit. Thank you very much, guys. Maraming salamat. Ayan, talaga si Ma'am Jocelyn. Talagang additional layers of barong. So, ay hindi, meron pa ako isa pang butas dito. Wait lang. Meron pa ako. Meron din ako dito. Wait lang Kailangan ko rin yatang itatay. Meron din ako dito sa baba. Ayan. Komplikado na to Sabi ni Manong, bili ka na ng bago. Daming kuda tong mo. Sentimental value. Come on, guys. Sentimental value. Alright, thank you kay Mel Rowell Cabangon. Ayan. Thank you, John. Sa mga supporters natin, John. Parang Rufa May Quinto, di ba gano'n siya? Kamusta kayo, John? Sa kanya ko nakuha yan Yung eye bags na tinubuan ng pogi. Butas yung barong. Ay, wala na, mahabang usapan na to Ano yung meron yung version na Ano yung parang, ito yung parang gano'n. Parang nag-eye bags, nag-barong, nagpogi, pero butas yung parang yung mga ganun, di ba? Yung parang, di ba yung mga ganun na state? Anong parang mga ganun style? Parang nagmahal, nasaktan, nag-French Riviera, parang ganun ito. Nag-eye bags, nag-barong, butas yung barong, yung mga ganun. Daw sa meme na ganun. Basta, maghanap tayo mamaya. Ayan, nag-zadi, nag-eye bags, nag-barong, pero butas, yung mga gano'n. Alright, ganun. Deserve. Jello. Chris Gomez. Ayun, parang parating ako nang paparinig sa inyo Oy, huwag niyo ako chismisan. Sabi niyo itong Ilocanong to. Basta. Ayan. Okay na, nalpasen. Awanan. Sa Balimati Presidente data. Different president today and for the next, sabi ng isa, so now we have the next president, so we'll discuss this president for the next 6 years. That's sabi ko, sure ka, 6 years, diba? You never know, baka bagong constitution, diba? You never know. If parliamentary tayo, then it could be 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, diba? Margaret Thatcher, Lee Kuan Yew, etc. I'm not giving ideas, I'm just saying, right? Ano bang latest, oh my goodness, anong rate ng dollar pala? Oh my goodness. Makaning dollars ngayon, guys? Wait lang, check ako ng dollars bago kayo mag-bye-bye. Baka hingi pa ako dito. Pag mahal ang dollar. Wala na talaga. Oh my! 55 na! Wow! Feeling ko bababa yan after inauguration. Kasi, guys, kalmado lang tayo. Unity. Siguro bababa ito. Grabe 55 na. Sana nag-ano na lang ako ng ano. Alam mo, magandang business ngayon, hindi Bitcoin at Tesla. Ang magandang business ngayon, money exchange. Parang magandang magbenta ng dollars ngayon, no? Kung may dollars ka. Money, Forex, magandang business. Kaya guys, next time magkakaroon tayo ng meta on Forex exchange and cryptocurrency. Tapos, ibubudol ko kayo, pabili ko kayo ng ano yun? Parang crypto meta. Yan. Magbudol-budol na lang tayo, no? Ayan tayo. Di ba yung mga vloggers na gano'n? Daming kuda, tas yung pala bebenta lang nila sa'yo, yung parang sobrang dodgy na, parang crypto dodgy. Yung pala, ito, yung pag Bitcoin, 50%, ito 500%, ganyan. Tapos yung pala, ito naman, daming budol-budol, no? Na mga crypto. Tapos yung iba, cryptocurrency, tapos biglang ngayon, naging analyst na ng politics. Like, what? Wait, what? Crypto expert, ganyan. Tapos biglang, wait, what? Nag-analyze siya ng agricultural policy natin. Like, what? Okay, ayan tayo eh. Ang tawag dyan, nagra-racket na. Yan kasi, Bitcoin ng Bitcoin eh. Bitcoin ng Bitcoin. Ayan, tuloy. Mga ano ng Bitcoin? Ayan, type natin. Bitcoin. Hindi pa rin nag-recover eh. Hindi pa rin nag-recover eh. Nandito pa rin sa baba. Tesla, check natin. Tesla stocks. Ay, actually, nagre-recover na pala yung Tesla. Ito, nagre-recover na siya. After that collapse, nag-recover siya. Grabe yung recovery niya, no? So, parang blip lang nangyari. Parang yung blip niya, Tesla din, di ba? Parang yun ang logo ng Tesla. Ito Yung parang nangyari, logo ng Tesla, di ba? Ito. Parang logo ng Tesla, di ba? Tingnan mo, parang logo siya ng Tesla, di ba? Walang ya. Parang hindi to, legit. Lagyan natin 5 days. Lagyan natin 6 months. Year on year. Ito 6 months. Halos parehas na. Ayan, sige mo. Okay na, tama na. Nalpasan. Thank you very much, guys. Let's end on a serious note. Ito na lang, whoever you voted for, please do not forget na, kasi may parts yan, hindi ko pala minention yun, may parts yan na sinabi ni Bongbong na parang bahala ng gobyerno, you have your life, don't worry about it, you don't need to parang anong gusto mong sabihin na huwag na lang mag-mobilize ng tao. You see, we need active citizenship because that's the only way to make sure good presidents can continue to do good things. Kasi kung magaling yung presidente and then gusto niya gawin yung tama and then dami mga trapo na ayaw, kailangan mo supportahan yan. At kung may masamang ginawang presidente, kailangan mo rin correct yan. Kaya kailangan ng consistently active citizenship. Hindi yung yung banat-banat style. Hindi, yung constructive criticism, engagement, encouraging the better nature, better angels of their nature, mga ganon style. And then, kung may mali talaga, may budul-budul, kababalagan, ganon, you have to call it out, diba? Otherwise, kawawa tayo. Diba? Kawawa tayo. Because your role as a citizen, as a Filipino, doesn't stop at the ballot box. Pero kung hindi ka bumoto, hindi ibig sabihin wala ka nang gagawin or pwede kang gagawin. Even if hindi ka bumoto, you can still contribute to good governance in many different ways. Not only by joining the government, you can join the civil society, you can be in advisor capacity, you can join the media, you can be a good blogger. So yun, guys, alright? Yes, tama ka, Eunice. Participatory democracy. Yan pong kailangan natin, right? Participatory democracy kung saan the voice of the people is not just confined to their vote. That's just one vote. But you can have more than one vote if you're constantly engaged with the government for the good reasons. Alright? So please guys, whoever you voted for, whether you're feeling good or great about this, do not forget, walang perfectong presidente. And when presidents do good things, they will have enemies, so we need to support them. And when they do bad things, they have choo-choo people to support them, so we have to push back against that. Alright? So yon, okay? Guys, maraming problema ang ating bansa. Maraming dark clouds over the horizon sa ating economy, sa ating food security, etc. So, we really need to do something about it. And kung gusto niyo maintindihan, guys, so ito na, vlogger style talaga ako, guys. If you wanna appreciate the economic situation, please watch. Go to my YouTube channel, watch on economics, macroeconomics, and economic development 101. Napansin niya dito sa Facebook kasi, hindi ko nilalagay ang titles and all. Alam mo bakit? Lagyan mo yung titles. Yung mga trolls kasi, hanap nila keywords lang eh. Kung lagyan mo yung titles, you are making it easy for them. So after a while, i-upload ko na kunyari sa iba, lalagay ko na yung title. So please, go to YouTube or try to find there yung mga economic analysis natin. And you know, we are balanced. We are not going against anyone. And by the way, let me send also my best wishes to NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan. I think he was not feeling well today kaya hindi siya sumali. So, Sir Balisacan, Prof. Balisacan, my best wishes to you, sir. I hope you'll feel better and recover soon. Si Enrile din yata, no? He's recovering. So, yun na lang. My best wishes to the good guys in the incoming administration or any administration. Continue to do your best and you can count on my support 100%. Alright? At the same time, kung may maling nangyari, of course, we're gonna point that out because this is what participatory democracy is all about. Hindi ito yung kinokontrata lang natin. Oh, ito na, bumoto na kami, kaya nang bahala. Kita-kits na lang after 6 years. That's not how it works. Alright? Hindi ganyan. At the same time, huwag lang yung banat-banat lang para lang pogi, diba? Ayusin natin yan. Ayusin natin yan. Let's have constructive engagement, constructive criticism, and at the same time, let's stand by our conviction when we feel that fundamental principles and truths are being trampled upon. Alright? On that note, thank you very much. Maraming salamat. God bless you. God bless the Philippines. And tuloy-tuloy po ang laban for a better Philippines and a better future. Sino man ang presidente, dapat yung ating activism is for the good of the country. Sabi nga ni Manuel Quezon, di ba? My loyalty to my party stops where my loyalty to my country starts or something like that, right? Or something like that, right? Okay. Sorry, I just paraphrased it. You get my point, right? Huwag tayo magkampi-kampihan, alright? Isipin natin what's the best for our country. So magandang nangyari, support natin. Kung hindi magandang nangyari, di point out natin. Wala namang perfecto eh. Ayan lang. Yan. Daming hanash, daming kuda. Ayan tayo eh. Sige pare ha. Sige pare ha. Baka makita yung butas dito. Sige pare ha. Thank you very much ha. Maraming salamat ha. Mag-usap tayo next. Alright? And remember guys, itong ano natin, sa meta, mga ka-meta. Ito tayo no matter sinong presidente, basta ito tayo. Alright? Kahit sino kahit sino, I don't care. Basta kahit sino. Alright? God bless. Maraming salamat. Adios. Hasta mañana. God willing, inshallah.